All right, people, we are back and we have the Asus Zenbook Duo here running the Arrow Lake processor. My first time testing Arrow Lake here in 2025. This is the Core Ultra 9 285H and very impressive performance. You'll see good single multi-core performance. As far as the graphics, no dedicated graphics card in this somewhat light dual screen laptop. Of course, it has the integrated Intel Arc 140T, which is very similar in a lot of ways to the Intel Arc 140V, although there are some differences. But I think overall very similar in terms of what you can expect, which is a very impressive performance in terms of graphics for doing things like video editing, 4K, light 4K, I would say, and of course 1080p video editing in DaVinci Resolve Premiere Pro. But of course, you could also play some games. We'll talk about that in a little bit. Dual displays here. Now, there are two options. The one you can get at Best Buy, and I'll put a link in the description below, is the higher end option in terms of the displays. They're 3K or 2.8K OLED displays. They're the same 2.8K, 2880 by 1800 resolution, 120 hertz. Now, the one that Asus sent over for me to review, again, obviously with the disclosure here, this was sent over by Asus, and once this review is done, I'll be sending it back. This is one that's going to be available at Costco, and it's going to come in less money. I don't have the exact pricing, but I'll put it as soon as I get it. But it'll be less, and this one has dual displays as well as being OLED like its higher end model, and this is going to be a full HD plus 1920 by 1200, 60 hertz. So you're not going to be quite as good in terms of the fluid nature of a high res display or high refresh rate, but it is definitely still good, right? So if you don't want to break the budget, this will be a little bit of a better scenario, but you still want to be able to multitask with the dual displays. Now it comes with a nice keyboard that you can just connect on here. It connects via pogo pins. It also connects via Bluetooth, so you can use it detached, so you don't have to worry about having to have it connected. So that gives you all sorts of scenarios. Pen support on both displays is supported here. And they didn't send the pen over, but I was able to use the HP Tilt Pen, among other pens that have the same Microsoft Pen Protocol 2.0 technology, so you'll be able to do that. Now, this is a really nice keyboard accessory. Again, I like the fact that it does come in the box. But it's not perfect. There are some things I'd like to see improved. Now, some of the software that utilizes the dual displays has been a little bit hit or miss. I couldn't get the virtual keyboard to work after an update. It was working initially where you put your 6 fingers and it brings up the keyboard and a virtual touchpad, but for some reason I couldn't get that to work, and I think there are some things I have to do to update it. But again, that's one thing I was not crazy about in terms of the software. And you can span the display like a waterfall on both. That's been pretty good. You can turn off one display, just use one, get more battery life. Now, we'll talk about battery life and everything in this review, but overall the performance has been very good. So we're going to find out why I think the Asus Zenbook Duo is one of the best dual screen laptops you can get on the market right now. And I've tried a number of them, but I think this probably is the best implementation, best pragmatically, I think it's the best out of all of them as far as utilization of the two displays, but we'll get into it in more in this review. Hey everybody, it's Andrew, and this is the Asus Zenbook Duo running the brand new Intel Arrow Lake processor, all new for 2025, coming up. All right, now as far as the build and construction on this, it's very good. As you can see, it has a kickstand on here that's pretty rigid. This is called Inkwell Gray, and it's a pretty nice overall all-metal design here. It's, of course, when you put the keyboard in it, it can get a little bit heavy, but again, you have two displays here, but it's a nice all-in-one package, and I think this implementation is a little bit better than the Yoga Book 9i that I looked at, where it was a little kludgy. You had that origami style kickstand with the keyboard, which was a separate thing, and then you had the pen and all that stuff. So that was it. As far as I/O, on the left side, you get a USB-A, you get a Thunderbolt 4 port, and you get your headphone jack, and then you get another vent over there, and then you get another USB Type-C Thunderbolt 4, and they're all, by the way, full function, and then you get HDMI 2.1, which is pretty good. So very good I/O in terms of connections. And the keyboard itself that comes with it is very good as far as the tactility, the key travel, the overall tactility is very good, and as far as the overall typing experience was pretty good. This is actually a really nice accessory, and I like the fact they include that in the box. And again, for some reason, I couldn't get the virtual keyboard to work after an update, so I'm not sure what's going on with that. I'm looking into that. But the virtual keyboard, when I was able to get it to work, worked fine. Now, as far as this display, now two displays, right? They're both the full HD OLED displays, 1920 by 1200. And of course, this is a really nice display. It gets bright, it's sharp, it's pretty color accurate. It's got good coverage of the color gamut. If you want an even nicer display, go with the one with the 2.8K dual displays. And that, of course, is 120 hertz. This is 60 hertz, so that's one little downside, but it does support HDR, so watching high dynamic range content has been very good. And of course, you'll do better on battery life when you're only using one display. But having the full HD, of course, means you're going to get better battery life because of the lower resolution. Won't draw as much power as the 2.8K or 3K displays that you get on the higher end version. Pretty thin bezels for the most part. So pretty nice overall design. Of course, let me know what you think in the comments section below. Now, it does have a 1080p IR camera that allows you to log in with face recognition in Windows Hello. You also get all the studio effects and all that, background blur, auto framing, all that jazz. Well, let's take a look at it and you let me know what you think in the comments section below. So this is the 1080p camera here on the brand new 2025 Asus Zenbook Duo. This is 1080p Full HD. It's an IR camera. That means you can log in with face recognition with Windows Hello. It also has all the studio effects, background blur, all that stuff is here. We've seen it a million times. What do you think about the video quality and what do you think about the audio quality? Let me know in the comments section below. All right, let's check out performance here on this Arrow Lake processor, the Intel Core Ultra 9 285H. As you can see, excellent single and multi-core performance, which is what we want to see from this level of processor. And as you can see in the Cinebench, again, excellent single and multi-core performance out of this. So very, very impressive stuff indeed. And I didn't notice a difference in performance when on battery or versus plugged in. Basically the same performance, so no degradation when on battery. And when it comes to the integrated graphics, the Intel Arc 140T GPU or integrated graphics solution did very well on the TimeSpy score. As you can see here, it did well on the Firestrike and the Wildlife Extreme. So these are very impressive numbers with this. It's a little bit different than the 140V that we saw with Lunar Lake. So this is just a little bit different, but you're getting pretty much similar type results. So excellent performance here. And as far as gaming is concerned, if you lower some of the settings, you can get some playable frame rates on some of the more popular titles. And we saw impressive results here when I ran the Puget Bench DaVinci Resolve benchmark to see how this will handle video editing. And as you can see, the Intel Arc 140T graphics certainly held its own, better than the Intel Arc 140V that I saw on the Surface Pro for business, but not quite as good as the Asus ROG Flow Z13 with those really impressive integrated graphics, the Radeon 8060S. Obviously, it's not going to be as good as the ROG Zephyrus G16 with its dedicated graphics card. So definitely you want to be able to do some video editing on this, but again, keep your expectations in check, but pretty impressive for a integrated solution. Good news when I ran the TimeSpy stress test, earning a score of 99.6%, meaning it got a passing score, meaning it detected virtually no thermal throttling under heavy load. That's a really great result. And when it comes to the surface temperatures under heavy load, look how the keyboard remained relatively cool here. Again, never getting overly hot. That's with that external keyboard on top of that secondary display or one of the displays. And without the display, again, this really stayed very cool, but not so quiet under heavy load. When pushed under heavy load, you'll notice that there is some fan noise here, obviously in the 60s, and that's definitely noticeable in terms of the decibel level. So again, when you're doing everyday tasks, it's not much of an issue in terms of fan noise, but the fans will kick in under heavy load. When it comes to battery life, with the one display only, I turned off the second display using it in laptop mode. You're looking at a shade under 17 hours in video playback. Mixed use, you're looking at around 15 plus hours. Expect half of that, or about half of that, when using both displays. Again, about 40% screen brightness and so forth. So definitely the battery is not bad here, although again, when you use the two displays, expect less battery life. It makes more sense. And you're going to get better battery life out of the Full HD Plus models running at 60 hertz than you would with the higher end 2.8K OLED displays running at 120 hertz. That just makes sense, right? Now, as far as the speakers are concerned, this has some pretty nice audio. It has Dolby Atmos to help with the spatial audio. That, of course, is going to be really good if you're in a room and you can really hear the clarity. And I thought the speakers on this were really good, and you can change the different settings within the Dolby Access app, but it really has been very good. But of course, you be the judge. You let me know what you think about the audio in the comment section below. Now, let's give it a listen. Now, as far as the pricing is concerned, this comes in at around $15.99, I think, as configured here with the dual displays, with the full HD. Again, I don't have exact pricing for this one. It's going to be available at Costco here in the US. But if you go to Best Buy, you can get it around $1,600, $1,700. And of course, we are expecting sales, which is not bad considering you're getting two really high-end OLED displays with 2.8K resolution or 3K resolution if you want to round it up. It also has pen support. So just keep that in mind. But I think the pricing overall is very competitive. You can look at some of its competition. The Yoga Book 9i, which also has two displays, can get up there in price, right? So this is also pretty competitive in the sphere of the dual display laptops. But of course, we're hoping to get good sales, and hopefully they will do that. So check the link in the description below for the latest pricing, of course. So I always will have that updated. And of course, if you go through my links, I do get a small affiliate commission that, of course, helps support the channel, just to let you know. So overall, what do I think about the Asus Zenbook Duo? I think it's a really good implementation of a dual screen laptop. I like Intel's Arrow Lake here. It's pretty good. It's not going to be as efficient as it's going to be on the Intel Lunar Lake, of course, that we just saw. That's going to be a little bit more efficient. Of course, this is going to give you more power. It's drawing more wattage. And of course, it's going to give you better performance overall. And that's, of course, the results we're seeing with the single and multi-core performance. Battery life, considering the fact that you're getting dual displays, is actually pretty good. It's pretty good because you have OLED, of course. OLED does have its drawbacks with the fact that it uses PWM or screen flickering. That's part of the technology. And you might have to worry about screen burn-in, but the software that Asus bakes into it certainly helps prevent that. So they have some pretty good software to do that. And then, of course, the overall typing experience has been very good. The trackpad on this accessory is very good. And I love the fact that they include that in the box, so you don't have to worry about paying extra like you do some other laptops and so forth for the accessories. Again, this should be included. And, you know, something like the Surface Pro that we looked at, Intel, or the Snapdragon, you have to buy the keyboard separately. This comes with it. So again, different category, but just same idea, right? So that is really where we are on this. I like it very much, and I highly recommend it. And I was impressed with Arrow Lake. There are some bugs, like I said, that they need to work out with the software, but that I think Asus can work out with a firmware update and some other further updates down the road. But overall, been a very good experience with the Asus Zenbook Duo.